Now that you're sitting comfortably, I shall begin.
It was 2008. London's movie theaters were getting ready for the premiere of the crime comedy Rock'n'Rolla. The rights to international distribution were bought by Warner Brothers. 4 months prior, a private screening in the studio office had left Bruce Berman with a twinkle in his eye. The head of Village Roadshow Pictures, the company which usually shoots blockbusters for Warner Brothers, happened to be looking for a director for their new screen adaptation about the greatest detective on the planet. The British hooligan who had spent his whole career professing his love for London seemed like the perfect candidate for the post.
You know, the idea was always to make it feel as fresh and contemporary as possible.
The official offer was not long in coming, and before Rock'n'Rolla hit the screens, Guy Ritchie had signed a contract to film Sherlock Holmes.
I wanted to somehow represent what I believe to be an authentic Sherlock Holmes.
For the first time in his career, Ritchie did not write the screenplay for a picture which he was about to film.
I didn't write it, which is rather disappointing.
The script had been worked on by 5 authors already, not counting Sir Arthur Conan Doyle himself. But Guy still got involved in the process, insisting that they leave out the typical cliches.
There was never a deerstalker or a hat, although I'm very fond of deerstalkers. There was never one in the books. This Sherlock Holmes wasn't going to have the aesthetic of the tradition of Sherlock Holmes, which wasn't necessarily authentic anyway.
Ritchie envisioned Holmes as youthful and eccentric, which for a long time kept him from considering Robert Downey Jr. as an option, since he seemed too old for the role.
When this project first came to me, I thought, we should go for, I know they've already done the young Sherlock Holmes, but we were thinking about doing a sort of late 20s version.
I didn't think of Robert for Sherlock Holmes. He sort of forced himself upon me, actually. He was working with his wife on my previous production, and Robert called with a Tourette's-like consistency. And eventually he just...
Like I needed the gig.
There's nothing of interest for me out there on Earth at all.
Happily, Robert got his chance. And within the first 5 minutes of the audition, Guy realized that he had found his ideal candidate.
I just have a small point of concern.
It's just a little odd that Holmes is being played by an American. Initially, when I heard that I was cast in the movie, I was disgusted.
In fact, you're the only American male actor that I know can pull off such a flawless. I'd go this far to say that your English accent is flawless. You may have flaws in other departments.
And after the studio forced me down his throat, we made a hell of a duo.
He just brought everything that Sherlock Holmes needed to embody. And plus he can act. I'm told.
My journey took me somewhat further down the rabbit hole than I had intended, and though I dirtied my fluffy white tail, I've emerged enlightened.
But having changed the age of the main hero, the director was faced with a different problem. Rachel McAdams, who had already been confirmed for the part of Irene Adler, had been chosen when Sherlock was young in the script, but paired with Downey Jr., the actress seemed too young.
Oh dear.
Once again, the future Holmes disturbed Ritchie's plan and insisted that Rachel was perfect and that no one would notice a dissonance in their relationship on the screen.
No. I need to work.
Still, there was one candidate Guy was certain of from the moment he read the script. For him, Watson could only be Jude Law.
Previously, Watson had always been represented as this rather rotund, bumbling character. It's kind of subservient to Holmes's intellect.
And I thought that was not only unfair, I didn't think it was authentic to Conan Doyle's, what I believe to be Conan Doyle's vision.
In fact, he was a soldier and he'd left the Afghan war with a decoration and an injury.
And I like to see them as more of a sort of butch and Sundance as opposed to a fat guy and a skinny, brilliant guy.
Get that out of my face. It's not in your face, it's in my hand.
Get what's in your hand out of my face.
Even here, Robert stuck his nose in and convinced the then uncertain Jude to agree to participate in the project.
We just started bouncing ideas off each other, and we were very much on the same page, which is a pretty eccentric page.
Holmes.
Oh, good afternoon.
And yes, of course, there was one more person that the director was 100% confident in. Henry Blackwood was played by Mark Strong, who signed up for his 3rd film in a row by Guy.
It's only the beginning.
So the director had on his hands an acting ensemble of the highest order, one of the most coveted scripts in Hollywood, as well as a budget of $90 million.
Keep your money, I didn't say I'll take the case.
This was twice the budget of both his previous films combined. He was given a carte blanche, and on the 3rd of October started filming the biggest project of his career.
I hope that this film feels like a filmmaker's film. It's a film that's seen through the lens of an individual. The great thing about doing this particular movie and this period in history is that studios seem to be sympathetic towards filmmakers, and they pretty much let you do what you believe to be the right thing to do.
Yes, bang!
Guy's a perfect director for this reimagination of Sherlock Holmes because he's an innovator and he's kind of reinventing himself as well.
Of course, the main set decoration was London itself, which Ritchie had been trying to portray from different angles over the last decade.
I've shot almost everything I've done in London, but it was great on this particular production because we actually could go to rather grand places.
And their attention to detail, beginning with the streets and ending with the apartment on Baker Street, won them an Oscar nomination for Best Production Design a year and a half later.
We sort of gathered all the smalls as we went along, from like flea markets, antique shops, and hire companies, so it's a real sort of mass mix, really.
Don't touch. Everything is in its proper place, as per usual.
Cinematographer Philippe Rousselot combined all the types of lighting possible while preferring natural sources.
What he was working on, he clearly succeeded.
The use of high-speed cameras allowed them to get slow-motion shots without additional post-production for most of the fight scenes.
Dislocate jaw entirely.
We shot this about a week into the film, and this is one of the things I did to calm the studio down, that we were actually trying to do something that was fresh.
Physical recovery, 6 weeks. Full psychological recovery, 6 months.
By the way, the three main actors did a large portion of their stunts without using stunt doubles. Downey Jr.'s skill was a pleasant discovery.
Robert carries about 5% body fat, and he does kung fu for about 2 hours a day.
Initially, I thought I'd come in and just show Guy how badass Sifu and I were and how much we were going to contribute to the choreography, which we did.
I've got to tell you, Robert is a very exceptional human being. In Iron Man, you saw that he was physical, but I didn't realise he was as physical as he is.
And as far as me moving gracefully, wonderfully, being lithe as a cat and a very, very dangerous man, I couldn't agree more.
Downey Jr. fought and jumped at every opportunity, and even came close to getting seriously injured several times.
Every hit you see him take is absolutely real, and the action they accomplished on that I thought was really quite extraordinary.
During the fight scene with Dredger, the actor Robert Miley accidentally hit Downey Jr. on the head. Considering Miley's professional wrestling background and the fact that he was twice the size of his opponent, the punch was so hard that Ritchie stopped filming immediately and called an ambulance. Thankfully, it was only a bruise and a slight concussion.
I feel safer already.
Another fight scene with Dredger was choreographed by the director himself. Guy used moves from the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu martial art, which allows you to conquer an opponent of superior size by using painful holds and choking. Guy Ritchie had been practicing the art since 2000 and even earned a black belt. The picture is peppered with references which are also worth mentioning. Each time a crow appears on the screen, it foreshadows death. The murders and assassination attempt symbolize the four elements. The first murder is uncovered at a graveyard, earth. The second, drowning, water. The explosion, fire. And the attempt to poison the parliament through gas, air.
Within seconds of its administration, the most powerful men in the world will be choking on death.
There's also a reference to Sherlock's drug addiction.
You do know what you're drinking is meant for eye surgery.
At the time, cocaine was used as an anesthetic during eye operations.
Right.
The mention of the 5 women killed by Lord Blackwood.
The unholy murder of 5 innocent young women and the attempted murder of a 6th.
Was definitely an allusion to the crimes of Jack the Ripper.
Tell me, Doctor, as a medical man, have you enjoyed my work?
Let me show you how much I've enjoyed it.
Shooting lasted for 102 days and came to a close in mid-January of 2009. Post-production and editing took about another 7 months.
And the amount of people that are involved, the amount of expense that's involved, the amount of creative hours that these kind of scenes drink up is it's really hard to appreciate unless you can follow step by step how much work actually goes into these kind of scenes.
The reel premiered at the end of the year. Sherlock Holmes became the first film in Ritchie's career not rated R, and also the first screen adaptation dedicated to the greatest detective of our time in the past 20 years to set foot in America. 2 months later, the film finished its victory lap around the world's movie theaters, having made over $500 million. Its financial success exceeded the studio's wildest expectations. In addition, the reel was showered with nominations and awards. Oscar nominees included production designer Sarah Greenwood, set designer Katie Spencer, and soundtrack composer Hans Zimmer. while Robert Downey Jr. won a Golden Globe for his role as Sherlock Holmes.
Madam, I need you to remain calm, and trust me, I'm a professional. But beneath this pillow lies the key to my release.
There's a Holmes quote by Conan Doyle, who was a genius, by the way, and he said, "Art in the blood is liable to take the strangest forms."
The success amazed Warner Studios, and they decided to ride the wave and start work immediately on a sequel.
And it's become a point where these tentpole franchises are really successful ventures, so we're conscious.
Guy had to give up his screen adaptation of the Lobo comics from the DC universe, and Robert had to skip filming Cowboys and Aliens.
We pick up almost straight after, at the point we left it.
Because of this hurry, obviously, Ritchie once again did not participate in writing the script. The first installment was referenced but didn't affect the sequel. Warner Brothers did this in order to attract as many viewers as possible, and to reel in those who had just found out about the movie.
Is that what this is about?
The preparation phase, storyboarding, and casting happened at top speed, which makes it all the more impressive how well Ritchie managed to fill out the acting ensemble. The phenomenal Stephen Fry was invited to play Mycroft, and he breathed new life into the role.
I couldn't have jumped further, harder, faster, higher when I was asked if I was interested in Mycroft. I thought it was a wonderful gig.
Are we, Mikey?
Good evening, Shirley.
I remember we have a mutual friend, Chris Martin, the chap out of Coldplay, who's a real Sherlockian. It was his idea, actually, that Mycroft should be played by Stephen Fry. I think in a different time that he either would have played Moriarty or Sherlock Holmes. Stephen Fry, he was another Sherlockian.
I was so obsessed with Sherlock Holmes that as a very, very young boy, I joined the Sherlock Holmes Society of London. I mean, I could tell you everything. I could tell you that there were 17 steps from Baker Street up to his room. I could tell you every detail of the fireplace and the furnishings. I could quote long passages from it. I mean, it was a complete nerd. It's really weird. In the same way that plenty of kids could do the same for football, I was doing it with Sherlock Holmes.
He's kind of like a walking encyclopedia. Oftentimes, it would be easier just to ask him than refer to any of the research material we had, because sometimes it's not entirely accurate, and he is always entirely accurate.
And we have a much smarter set and cast and crew due to Stephen Fry and his wisdom.
Good evening, by the way.
No, he doesn't.
The same can be said for Jared Harris.
Professor James Moriarty.
His conditions for signing the contract was that the typical cliches be left out from previous films.
Jared was really concerned, and I think concerned in all the right ways, that this Moriarty not just be a rehash of 1,000 other supervillains.
Tough to avoid the cliches, and the cliches, it's been copied so many times and it's been parodied.
The question is, what to do about it?
The greatest success of the film is that our bad guy is really, really, really done right. And doing a bad guy right is the hardest thing to do in this kind of show.
I take that as a compliment.
Jared fit the role of Holmes' antagonist as though the script was written for him. During the audition process, he took the place which was supposedly reserved for either Gary Oldman, Sean Penn, or Brad Pitt. Rumor has it that Pitt was the voice behind Dr. Moriarty in the first film in the theaters. But after Harris was confirmed, he re-recorded those lines for DVD and Blu-ray.
That's precisely why I hired you.
Also, Jared's candidacy was confirmed a mere 10 days before filming began.
Doesn't realize until too late that it has swum into a trap.
The choice of Noomi Rapace for Madame Simsa Heron was an obvious one, and she seriously prepared for her audition.
So I've been, I learned this gypsy song, and I'm learning to dance, and we will have this great dance scene in the camp, and I speak some Romani in the movie as well.
She took it so seriously. Noomi, when she turned up for an interview, she really meant it.
Welcome. I'm Madame Simsa.
After Noomi appeared in the ensemble, Rachel McAdams realized that her character did not have a lot of screen time.
The thing is, to deal with someone like, in order to deal with Rachel, you've really got to deal with Moriarty. In order not to make him innocuous, but keep him innocuous, I'm afraid she was the first on the list to go. And that worked.
When Rachel found out, she wanted to drop out of the film. After the success of the first film, McAdams was hoping for a much larger role in the sequel. Guy convinced her to stay, thereby achieving the desired shocking effect in the sequel.
Not too many days' work, and I got to have a nice reunion with everyone and put my corset back on and for not too long, so it was great.
By October of 2010, less than a year after the first part was released, they started filming Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows. This time, the geography of the film was more sweeping.
Paris, the most sensible honeymoon destination of all.
Elbron.
Exactly where we must go, via Switzerland.
Do you know, I'm not quite sure where we are.
The production designers rose to the new challenge and did just as well as the first time. The visual aspect of the picture, whose budget had increased by a third in comparison to the previous film, was Guy's main priority.
I do quite like action sequences, but I'm only interested in action sequences if I can somehow add something new to it.
And utilized all kinds of high-tech cameras and all that stuff and really thought it through pretty formidably. And most of the feedback I've gotten is people say that they think this is the most innovative action in the movie.
In order to create the slow-motion scenes, he invited Gavin Free, made famous by the YouTube channel Slow Mo Guys. Ritchie's approach to visual tricks in the first movie is mesmerizing. While preserving the style, in the second he perfected the tweaked Sherlock's famous inner monologues.
Additional seasoning required. Breakfast is served.
He also allowed most of the cast complete freedom to improvise, which Robert and Jude made the most of with gusto.
Here it comes. You are so predictable.
No matter how kind of far out I go in trying to do my thing and our thing, he always kind of counterbalanced that nicely.
Thus, our relationship.
Jude and Robert are good mates. They're both very talented and they enjoy their job. So, you know, it makes my life much easier.
There was a scene where we walk into a room of carnage.
There's all these rubber bodies just strewn around, like obviously fake dummy bodies that are in impossible twisted positions.
And Robert leans over to me and goes, check this out, this would be really funny. And there's a big hand lying there and just stomps on his hand. And an extra cut. Oh, you love it!
In my own defense, I timed it perfectly.
The theme of chess was woven throughout the narrative. It is reflected in the set and in the plot.
I think you've just lost your most valuable piece.
To consult on questions connected to the game, they hired an expert.
My name's Adam Ralph. I'm a director of the English Chess Federation and I'm a technical advisor on the film. And the game we selected was chosen because it features an attractive finish, a queen sacrifice, leading to checkmate, and it just fit perfectly.
Winning strategy sometimes necessitates sacrifice.
Guy often spoke of his love for chess, and 5 years after the release of Revolver, he brought that love to his movie once again.
There's some very good players on set. Some very good players. He plays a very good game. He plays a very good game.
Surprisingly, the most difficult part of filming was during the gypsy camp scenes, which among other things was a light reference to Snatch.
What do you think we are? Thieves?
They're taking my luggage.
Laugh them away, Watson. I have her bag. Je son sac.
The film needs colour, and gypsies usually deliver when it comes to colour.
Things are really kind of serious. I say don't drink.
Whatever you do, don't let these gypsies make you drink.
And I guzzle it. And then I tell him, don't you dare dance.
For God's sake, don't dance.
And then he goes crazy dancing, and then I start dancing in my seat.
Jude Law and Noomi Rapace's dance took 3 days to shoot, despite it lasting only 15 seconds in the final edit. As for the question posed in the last scene of the picture, Guy has yet to answer it.
And with that, I bid you a fond adieu until I see you on the, well, I'd say the next one.
Who knows what I'm going to do? Who knows who can afford me anymore?
It's widely known that a third film is in the works.
Really?
While the film was in post-production, the director managed to work with Jude Law and Robert Downey Jr. on a few small projects. He filmed Jude in the charming short for Dior.
You know where I've been. I know where you've been.
And Robert in the commercial for the game Call of Duty, Black Ops 2.
Guess you brought a jet to a gunfight.
A Game of Shadows premiered exactly 2 years after the release of the first part and slightly exceeded it in the box office profits, making the hurried pace of Warner Brothers worthwhile. Guy made over $12 million from the trilogy, and though the reaction wasn't as ecstatic as to the first films in Ritchie's career, the adventures of Sherlock Holmes helped the director to reach new horizons and gave him a ticket into Hollywood's elite society.